Hello everyone. I do have a vlog planned with a different format to thank everyone and answer a few comments. But I came across a comment just now, and user LSX427, I felt the need to answer this in depth very quickly. Otherwise my other vlog will be too long. So anyway, he writes, as an ignorant American who has not traveled the world, your culture of low violent crime rates, low poverty rates, affordable healthcare and more, does that come at a cost of a ruler with an iron fist? Is the population allowed to speak freely of leadership? Trust me, I know things are not great here, but is the grass really greener abroad? Okay, let's answer them one at a time. The reason for low crime rate, it never used to be like that. When I traveled to China 17 years ago, was the first time I actually entered China, believe it or not. The crime rate was quite high, petty crime rate especially, and burglary, usual stuff, car crime. And society progressed quite quickly in terms of there were more opportunities. Crime, petty crime was punished quite severely. So there were no community service as such. You commit a crime, you go to prison basically. And violent crime, if you commit murder, kidnapping, human trafficking, they do have capital punishment in China. Low poverty rate. Now, the Chinese government lifted 800 million people out of poverty in the last 40 years. That is all down to government planning and a lot of people working very hard on how to alleviate poverty. Now, for example, people living in the countryside was quite hard to get businesses to that location. So what they did was they made a lot of tourist attractions, let it be man-made or introduce the beauty of the countryside or what have you, or build, even like Vegas, build fake attraction. So it encouraged a lot of businesses and brought a lot of tourism and what have you to those places. Just generally a lot of government grants for small businesses. So that's how they lifted so many people out of poverty. People got better education, affordable healthcare. Now, bearing in mind it's 1.4 billion people in China. I will have another vlog coming out soon regarding healthcare, especially cancer treatment, as my mother-in-law had breast cancer last year. And I will take you through what they actually did for my mother-in-law and how the whole process was taken. But that's a separate vlog. Healthcare is very affordable. You tend to pay for 95%. Sorry, the government pays for 95% to 90% of the actual cost of the treatment and blah, 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 blah. So you end up paying very, very little, extremely small amount of money. Even as a foreign national such as myself, it cost me £6.50, which is about $8 to register into their database as a patient. And depending on consultation, one of my basic consultation, I went along with I was feeling a bit poorly and I just had flu. No, it wasn't COVID, it was just flu. That cost me £2.50. A blood test cost £2.50, which is roughly $3 and a little bit. I had a blood test, which came back 3 hours later on the day of the blood test. So you don't wait, you actually take the blood test, submit it, and then you get the results in 3 hours, generally 2 to 3 hours. That costs £6, which is roughly about $8. And then after that, you take your blood test results back to the person that you saw initially, but you've already paid that consultation fee. That is already included. And then medicine is paid separately depending on which medicine that you take. But it's very affordable. They don't try to rip you off with the medicine. It is purely very affordable. Give you an example, I had some just general flu medicine. It cost me £4, which is about $6. So the whole process of seeing the doctor, having the blood test, getting the results, getting the drugs that I needed, probably about £20, $25 US. That was all included. When you go to the hospital in China, you see the specialist rather than a general practitioner. So whatever your problem is, you see that specific specialist. So the hospitals are massive. So you go to the relevant department. So there isn't a massively long queue, and there are a lot of hospitals in China. Right. Does that come with a cost of a rule of an iron fist? I personally don't think so. That's just my opinion. Don't take my word for it. I went to China 17 years ago. I had that Western mindset. That's how China was perceived. And it was like that. So it was polluted. It was dusty. It was dirty. People were rude. I didn't feel safe. I was warned about my telephone and my belongings and be careful this, be careful that. So that was all true. But from 17 years ago until now, as you guys seen in my previous vlogs, that I did move my wife and my daughter back to China 2 years ago. But even prior to the 2 years, we had been visiting my in-laws every year, possibly sometimes twice a year. And every time we went back, the infrastructure, the safety, the organization has been totally transformed within a short period of 10 years. It's not just a different place, it's like you've gone to a different country. Again, this is just my personal experience and what I see. This is what my channel is really all about. The rant that I did on the last vlog is not really what I usually do. I always just mainly talk about China, the cost of living. I love EV cars. I do a lot of EV car reviews. I love motorbikes. I do some motorbike stuff. We do a lot of road trips, the cost of living, food. I generally do that, and I don't really rant on foreign affairs. But because of what the Vice President said, it was brewing within me for a few days, and I was sitting in my taxi waiting, and I just felt the need to just sort of get out and just record what I recorded. It wasn't planned. I just said whatever came into my mind. I hope I didn't offend anyone. Now, I have replied to several comments with one phrase, is that one man's ignorance does not represent your nation. And again, I don't represent the Chinese people as a whole. I'm just telling you my experience, my opinion. It doesn't count for anything. This is just, if you're watching, this is my opinion only. So if I've offended any Americans by saying things that I said, I don't mean it at all. It's just a case of one man's ignorance does not represent the whole nation. So my ignorance and stupidity doesn't represent my Chinese nation either. Okay, the last question is the population allowed to speak freely of leadership? I have to be 100% honest with you. No, you are not allowed to criticize the government in public. And you are not allowed to have a public gathering to criticize the government. Now, there's various reasons why you think I don't have to go into it. But people don't generally do it because the government listens in China. This is my key point of this vlog, is that there is an annual assembly of 2 sessions. Look it up. I won't go into what it is. But basically, 5,000 representatives from around China. So within the province, there's also little areas, towns, cities, Shanghai being a big city, Chongqing. So you can imagine, if you've never heard of Chongqing, Chongqing is the biggest city in the world. They have 34 million people living in Chongqing. There's 31 million people living in Shanghai. So within the Shanghai and within Chongqing, there'll be little districts where representatives will come to this place. It'll be other provinces like Xinjiang, Sichuan, Guangdong, Anhui, Wuhan. All these places, all these people, 5,000 people will come together and put their petition to the upper level government to request the things that have to be done within the community. And then it would reach to the higher level into the sort of the other section. This is how I understand it. Then it goes up, and then they will evaluate how to tackle these problems and improve people's lives. Now, to be a politician in China, you have to start from at the very, very low level. You don't become, in England, is MP. In America, I guess, senator, I guess. I'm not intelligent by any far stretch of the imagination. So I'm just guessing that's what it means. To become one of these MPs or government heads, in England, I can only speak for England. You know, you have lawyers, doctors, bankers. You know, you have bankers that are head of health. It doesn't make sense. You have doctors, head of transport. That doesn't make sense. So in China, all the politicians are professional politicians. They work from low level, and then from their credentials and their achievements, they will go up and up and up and up, and eventually get to upper governance, as to speak. So anyway, other than the main national plan of 5 years, they always have a 5-year plan to achieve what they want to achieve within the next 5 years. And other than that, in the other part of the this 5,000 people, 5,000 representative, certain targets have to be reached. And if you don't fulfill your requirements in that department, you will get fired. Simple. You will get fired if the government set out for you to do a certain task within the 12 months, which is not something that is impossible. They never ask anything impossible. It is doable. So if they want to build a bridge over there within the next 3 years, they'll go and build it. If they need to build this stretch of railway within the next 18 months, they'll build it. If you don't hit that target, then someone's going to get fired. And if you're on higher government status, if you get fired, you don't then become a CEO of a company or what have you. Is your career finished? You'll just go and find a normal job somewhere doing something else. You won't get another job in the government if you're in high level government and you failed your task or what have you. So without dragging that on too long, I hope that's answered this user's questions. Because of the length of it, this is 30 minutes long already. I didn't want to put it in my vlog coming out next, otherwise it would drag on the vlog too long. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope I've explained myself clearly, but I'm not very good at these things. That's why I generally just come up with random things in my head and go and film random things.